Hi, I'm Ray Freeman, Managing Director of Tribe. Your CV says it all about how to make a great first impression with a one-page resume that tells everything about your career, your qualifications, all summarized in a real easy-to-use format. So today in our workshop, we're going to talk about what makes a good CV. What is a CV? Why do you need one? And what are some things to avoid when you are creating your CV? And also, how do you stand out from the crowd and make your CV stand out amongst the hundreds, maybe even thousands of others? Now, if you don't know about, a CV is short for curriculum vitae, basically a synonym for a resume. So we're talking about a full resume that has been condensed into just the things that you want to demonstrate. Why do you need a CV? Well, when your career has reached a certain point, it's time to upgrade your resume. You can no longer submit a 7 or 8 page report or summary of every place you work and everything that you've done. You have to make some brief summaries of your accomplishments. What things did you make happen at the places where you did work? How did you make an impact there that can highlight or stand out to others that maybe you're someone worth talking to? Having a good CV is an ultimate business card. Imagine having something that's working for you and it's always on the job. So think about it. Your CV is placed into a presentation deck, probably with a few other profiles similar to it. But it shows where you have a specific impact and a specific skill set that is necessary to deliver whatever is being proposed to the client. So it's working for you in showing how you are a part of the solution. So make sure that when you build your CV, that it highlights how you're going to be a part of the solution, how you're going to actually bring value to that client. What's the first thing a person is going to see when they look at your CV? Headshot. It's your picture. You got to have a good professional picture that's up there. It can't be something of an avatar or some funny image or something, or just some wording or something. It needs to be a professional picture of you so they understand, what am I going to get if I hire this person? Like, how is this person going to be able to connect with my employees if I can't see what they look like? So make sure it's up close and personal, not far away. There's not a bunch of other people in the image. It's not cropped out of something else, but get yourself a good professional image to use on your CV. The next thing you need to make sure is on your CV is your name. Top left corner, in bold, in a nice large font that is easily read and understood by the people who are going to be reading your CV. They want to know who to associate this image with. So make sure that your name is in a large font and it's bold and stands out that it is you. Just beneath your name, we need a new paragraph started, and no smaller than font size 11. But this is where you're going to introduce yourself. What are your specializations? What are your passions? What things are you known for? So this is a section where you're going to spend about 1 or 2 short paragraphs providing an overall summary of the relevant experience and the things that you do in the different roles that you had. But it's a short explanation and a brief summary statement. Your first few sentences should be very broad, restating some of the really key objectives that you have accomplished across your career. Ray Freeman is an author, entrepreneur, consultant, and expert in applying Agile in many different contexts. With 24 years experience, Ray is an advisory level expert in lean engineering. He provides leaders with immediate and long-term impact to strategy, operations, and the interactions of people. With experience in renewable energy, media, financial services, airline and travel, Ray has led more than a dozen digital transformations globally. He also leads a philanthropy initiative on a mission to strengthen the economic, educational, and social services available to underserved communities around the globe. So, you want to make sure that you go into some of your industries and talk about what are some of the places that you served. Maybe they are very similar to the industry that this client is in, and they're really going to want to know that you have done the type of work that they're looking for in the industry that they are in. Also in this section, notice that I pointed out some more personal items. Like, what are some things that I'm passionate about that make me tick as a human being? So be sure to mention some of those things about you. What groups do you belong to? What charities do you donate to? What organizations do you participate in that you can demonstrate here in just a brief sentence that details something about your own personal self and what makes you tick as a human being. Next section. This can be a slightly smaller font if you like, or you can keep it consistent, all the same, top to bottom. But the next section you need to have is your experience. And these are just bullet points. You just need a few of them that talks about initiatives that you've led or the outcome of a department that you were once over. Make sure that there's a few metrics put in there somewhere. 50% increase, 30% decrease. You know, metrics like that make a big difference so we can know the size and scale of the impact that you had at those particular places where you work. In this experience section, you want to make sure that you really highlight any major or large projects that you were a part of. Did you work with a major bank that did an overhaul of their entire IT infrastructure, and you were there as a coach and helping to guide the teams that carried out that infrastructure change? Was it a 2-year initiative, a big heavy lift that made a big difference for this organization? Maybe blended 2 companies together? Talk about those highlights, those great things. Don't talk about the meetings that you facilitated or the different groups that you worked with. Talk about the impact that you had and use some numbers, as we talked about before, use some metrics, but make sure people understand that you had an impact while you worked there. You weren't just there. Now, this is not a laundry list of all of the different places you worked before. And you definitely don't want to detail all of the things that you did on a job. It's not about detailing, here are the duties that I did day to day, but it's more about these are the impacts, these are the results that I was able to help this organization achieve. 5 or 6 bullet points, that's all you need for this section of the different jobs that you worked at. You don't want 12 or 13 bullet points. You don't want to take the font down any smaller and try to cram in a bunch more information, but just hit the highlight. Next, the next section you want to pay attention to is just to the right side of the text information we were just discussing, and it's right under your image, right under your picture. Now, this is where you're going to talk about education, certification, and really unique qualifications that you have that others may not. This is where you list out, do you have several different SAFE certifications or appointments, several different Agile certifications, or several different degrees from different universities that you want to list here to show your accreditations and the things that you've done from an educational standpoint to bring your career to this point. Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Let's talk about some things to avoid that you should definitely not do or not have in your CV. Avoid naming people unless it's a significant celebrity or a person that everyone knows that you're working with. But avoid naming individuals in your CV. No one needs to know that you worked from bar with accounting in your last job. I mean, don't put specific names in there. That's not necessary. Another best practice in creating your CV is to write the narrative in the third person. You don't want to be saying that I am a certified something, or I am a seasoned professional this. You want to say that Ray is a, or your name is a. So make sure that's in third person, so it reads a lot easier that way. And if it's amongst other profiles that are being submitted to a client, then that is easier to read for the person who's flipping through several one-page CVs. Make sure that your CV doesn't have a bunch of acronyms. ACN, MCA, RCL, we don't know what all of those things mean. So sometimes you're gonna have to spell out, what are some of those acronyms talking about? What are some of these organizations? If it's really, really common and everyone knows what it is, maybe that's fine. But make sure your CV isn't so cluttered with acronyms that it's too complicated to read. And remember, this is a one-page resume. So jargon, run-on sentences, misspellings are critical in this case. There's not much on this page. So if there's mistakes on it, if there's information that's missing, misspelled, it's gonna stand out really bad. So make sure to run a thorough spell check. Let someone else that you trust take a read of it and give you some feedback, so they may catch something that you may have missed. When creating your CV, try to avoid information overload. Too much can be too much. Don't put in so much information about every place that you've worked across your entire career that the page becomes cluttered. Make sure there's some white space left on the paper before you get done with it. So listen, we've talked about what is a CV, why you need a CV, what makes a good CV, what makes a bad CV, and how to make yours stand out from the crowd. For more tools like this, follow us at tribeagile.com and be sure to follow our LinkedIn page at Tribe Agile. So we welcome you to join us and to learn more about our ways of working, how we serve clients, and how we can help you to do the same. I'm Ray Freeman. Hey, thanks for joining. Come back and see us next time.